Right, that looks to be okay. Okay. Right, so one thing that I'm now going to add in, now we've settled in for a couple of days, is if we're doing a deep tissue treatment, like I've explained, you've got your anchor points, okay? So we always want to be opening at the feet or the hands or the head, all right? So on day one, when we had our client face down, we were working from the head with our bands, we worked through towels. So that was one anchor point, okay? As we worked down the superficial back line, we then opened our anchor points here at the feet. Yesterday we saw when we had our clients face down, we were working with the arm lines, but it specifically again was pain that we were going to be addressing to do with the arm lines. We started by down here by opening up the taps on the arms and working our way in, okay? So you always go to the myofascial line, it is where the pain sits. So if the pain's sitting here, you've got a choice of starting at the head or starting at the hand. All right? With this type of treatment, it would be for anything coming up the superficial front line and the deep front line. So you want to open your taps at the feet. Okay?
So you mean before the treatment you just open it a bit for then the energy can release better.
That's it. Yeah.
While you practice or treating.
Yes. So I call it opening the taps.
Yeah.
Your full treatment is then pumping the engine.
Yes.
And then once you've worked the full engine, you want to come back to the taps.
At the end you're doing this again.
This is it, and then you just want to take it all out.
Well.
So I think it was yesterday. I was working with Kaylin, and we were doing the cranial head release. So I was working with her head. So if you look at the head with all the different myofascial lines, that will connect into the arm line. It connects into the superficial back line, which is then friends with the deep back line. And then it comes into the toes, okay? So because I could feel it and I was just working with the head, when I was working with her, I could really feel then, in fact it was more you, I felt the movement with, that's right, and I was surprised with you how much we got to move. But with you I felt it more. So as I'm working with the head and we're working with the techniques, as it releases, it comes to this hand, it comes to this hand, it comes to this foot and this foot. So as you get more experience, you get a sense of awareness of, okay, it's releasing, where's it going? So this is why I got up, I went to your hand here, went to the foot, went to the other foot, went to here, because I knew that the whole thing was talking, it was all releasing. So that was a good treatment for you. And then when I was working with you, yes, I could feel it moving, but I was still really glad that I got up and that I opened the hands, because wow, I had no idea. Especially we got 3 big cracks coming out of the thumb. So she's much more silent when she's much more silent to work with, whereas I can get into your energy field a lot easier than hers. You're much more open and Kaylin is much more contained. But as a therapist, I still felt it moving, but I was very surprised when I went to the hands and I was like, great, I'm really glad that I did that. Because taking it out the fingers and the toes will give a longer lasting effect for the machine that's lying on the bed. If you ignore taking it out the fingers or the toes, again, yeah, it's great, but the actual tension comes back into the myofascia. So when you take it out, wham, it would then have a catapult effect coming up to the head, wham, and then it also has a catapult effect coming up to this thumb too. It's all interconnected, it's amazing. I'll tell you a story so you understand more about what I'm talking about. I've got one of the runners here that came to me, and she had an old herniated disc and an operation on it, which was successful. And she came to me many years later for nerve damage in one of these toes, okay? She couldn't ever feel the toe here. So I sat for half an hour with my fingers here and just did the techniques that I showed you, but I was very slow. I also worked with some little implements, I've got them there, for very detailed work on the edges of the myofascia and stripping up. After half an hour, this toe never even came into the leg. This finger started to vibrate, okay? So the whole thing after half an hour was coming all the way up the myofascia, the energy lines and the physical lines too. And it was talking, it was trying to leave via this finger. And this is like when I came back from Hawaii, it was like in my first year, you're going to have so many amazing experiences with this. You're like, wow, I really see how this works. And I was like, wow. And because I sat and worked on this toe, it was brilliant. She got the feeling on her toe back, and she never had any more problems again. And again, that was a great treatment for a new client who then went out and told all her runner friends and her family, and they're still my clients to this day. All from working for half an hour on that little toe. Okay? So this is why we always open the taps and take it out the taps too.
It's so difficult to imagine this or to believe it, or yes, everything is connecting to the spine and the big nerve system. It's so great.
So I'm just mobilizing the ankle joint here. Deep breath, Elaine, just connecting with that breath. And again, just giving like the hands, giving it a nice squeeze, just palpating it. Okay, we can also get in between the metatarsals. It's just pinching and twisting. Remember, the thumb has more of the myofascia, the big toe has more of the myofascia that comes into it. It's a bigger space. And again, when I'm pinching, I like to watch the client and check in with the breathing. They'll talk to you with the breath.
Superficial line isn't the liver meridian, or also
there we go,
or the deeper front line, also the stomach meridian line?
Yeah, it's both of them. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we got some nice movement there happening in her toes. Okay, so that was quite unusual. Normally you have to open it, work into the full line, and then come back and get some movement. So that was quite nice. Okay. Pinching in between the toes, and then you can rotate the joints. Don't press onto the joints. Working the full toe clockwise and anti-clockwise. Okay, so that one doesn't want to go. And again, coming into the third toe here. Okay, so we have an open channel here. That's quite nice. The next channel is closed. The third channel, okay, that's open as well. Okay. So watching this toe again, this is an old break. So you'll see that the toe, this one, isn't it? Yeah. You can see that the toe is kind of a different shape, so we don't ever try and fix that, okay? Again, that would be a lot of detailed work sitting there with the chopsticks. It would take a good few sessions, many hours. So you just want to get the full toe and just gently just give it a bit of extension if you come to broken toes, okay? Nice, good. See the way she laughs. You'll find this when the clients respond, the toes, all forms of laughing, crying, shouting, screaming, and especially when we start to work with the belly as well, if the person has a lot of gas in here, you can say to them as well, all forms of all of this, plus don't be alarmed. Burping and farting are also very common. Don't hold it in if you feel, I know you just need to get used to it, don't hold it in if you feel you need to let the air go, because it's part of the treatment. So, because it's not nice if you're working with somebody and they have a lot of gas and they're holding it in, it's not a good treatment. So again, we need to have that conversation. If you don't want to treat somebody with that type of abdomen, then refer on to somebody else who is comfortable with burping and farting, because it's just part of the job, okay? I probably had one lady out of my whole career that came in that just had no inhibitions at all, and she just farted the whole way through the treatment, and she just laughed as well. So laughing is part of going. With emotional trauma too, you can find that people start to cry, and at this point you have to be very sensitive with them when they are releasing emotion, because the muscles contain memories and emotions. So as you're, especially because we have all the heart chakra here, etc. So if somebody is with you and they're really wanting to let go, let them be in the space and don't leave them. That's the other thing. Don't be tempted to go, okay, I'll just leave you to it and I'll come back when you're feeling better. You actually you're part of what's going on. You have to stay with it too. So that's important that came up there. Okay. As always, we want to take it into a nice bit of rocking. So we want to have contact with the client. Now I've got no bolsters here because for a deep tissue treatment, I like to keep as many of the aids and adaptations out of the way because they just get in the way when I'm working. You need to have more physical space when you're working with the client. If it was a knee injury, by all means you can put in a towel or a bolster underneath the kneecap, okay? All right, there we go, rocking. Give it a little bit of shaking, mobility there. Now we have the tibia here, so we don't want to work on the tibia, all right? What we want to do is to come to this midsection. Now we've seen in holistic and sports, we can make a double hand and with straight arms, and you can lunge into it, okay? For a deep tissue treatment, for a deeper experience, we want to come into a lunging stance with our forearm, deep breath in, and big sigh out, okay? So it's a bigger compression that we're making. Scale of 10, where are you? A 5, okay, deep breath, take it to a 1. For a deeper experience, take them on a scale of 10, okay? If it's not a full advanced deep treatment, by all means, you want to hold it for 20 seconds, 45 seconds. So if you have a look in the mirror, you can see how wide my legs are for coming into this stance to create enough pressure coming on her, okay? All right. If you feel it's tighter, we can also add in more of these compression techniques. I'm coming just slightly closer to the knee because I feel it's here. It's actually midsection to where the knee is. Deep breath. And always on the out breath again. Here we go. Opening the legs to create traction. Scale of 10. Where are you? A 6. Okay, thank you. So I'm not hunched over. I'm upright. Okay? When you do a deep treatment like that, again, it will talk to the lower part of the myofascia. It also talks to the top part as well. So just give it a bit of encouragement. Okay, that's feeling a bit softer now. And now I'm going to come in here. Deep breath for me, please. And big sigh out. Scale of 10, where are you? 4, yeah, it is softer here, okay? You. Okay. And remember, as you come to the hip joint here, you want to be about 4 fingers away. We don't come right into the groin area. Okay, so we can do one more there. Deep breath for me, please. And big sigh out. So it's softer again. You can feel it. How are you doing there? Yeah, she's a 3. Okay, so I'm not going to waste my time on it. So we had 4, 5, and 6 is happening in there. So we're working there on the rec fem. In this way, we can also work on the lateralis, again, taking it 4 fingers away from the actual knee joint itself, okay? So now you want to change your stance. You're going to be facing onto the client, and we're coming on to lateralis. Deep breath for me, please. Big sigh out. I'm being careful not to go in too heavy with her. Where are you? She's an 8. Okay, do you need me to back off or can you take it? She wants to take it, so keep it on, but always check in. Maybe she's not in a good place today. Maybe 8 is too much. So again, you need to have that conversation. How you doing? You okay? Nice deep breaths. Really breathe into it. Okay, just say 1 when you get to a 1. And that's a 1. Okay. Again, rocking. And just moving further up. Deep breath now. On you go. You okay?
Yeah.
Alright. There we go. There's the last one. Deep breath. And big sigh out. So again, being careful not to take the pressure off or to increase the pressure. You have to just keep it the same. They can feel if it is taking time. If you take the pressure off just to hurry it up, they know that. You have to be really patient. And again, you told this for maximum 2 minutes. If it doesn't release in 2 minutes, come out of this. It's not good for your own spine. And then you go in working manually with oil. Yeah? Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's you with your working through towels there. I do a lot of that when I'm working. And now at this point, I'll probably put, as I'm going to start working with Elaine there, I'll probably put a bolster, a towel underneath the leg, underneath the kneecap.
What is this that we're working today? Deep line?
The superficial front line and the deep front line. Now you really want to prep these quads up with as much effleurage and pestissage, okay, to try and soften them down. Her legs are pretty tight here. As I'm working, I'm really picking up the information that her rectum and also her laterales is where the tension is, okay? So we're right on what's called the superficial front line, okay? The deep front line comes more into the abductor area, more in there, okay? Don't get too bogged down when you're working with the superficial front line or the deep front line. Just follow the tension, okay?
So, just to repeat in my words, you work on the adductor groups only if it's really tight or if it's getting deep to the treatment, or you...
No, yes, if you feel that it's in the abductors, we'll put them into the side position and I'll show you how to work the abductors then. Again, we don't overload the abductor muscles. The abductors are actually much better with soft tissue release and passive or active movements, but I'll show you how to do it anyway. Okay. You can go in an awful lot deeper here with the superficial front line. Okay. All right. So I'm just using some holistic techniques here with some shaking. Okay, just to prepare the area before you go in with the deeper movements. Now, if I hadn't have done that, and I went, right Elaine, okay, I'm going to load this up, right? I'm going to be working about 30-50%, deep breath, on we go. Your client goes, ah! When you're stripping the muscle and you've not prepared it, it's too intense for the client, so you have to use your holistic for like 2 minutes. Yes. When it's tight like that, you have to prepare it for a good 2 minutes. You work a pace a little bit faster. You want to get a bit more rhythm and speed into what it is that you're doing. Before then, you can apply the deeper pressure, okay? Because it's, again, extremely excruciating for the client if you try and strip the muscle tissue and you haven't prepared it properly, okay? So we can be using a scale of 10. All right, deep breath please for me, Elaine, and big sigh out. Right, I'm loading about 25-30%, okay? Watch your breathing. They'll communicate with you by breathing, jumping, if it's okay. And very nice, okay? So I know that that's okay. Now what I'm going to be doing is stripping again, and we can also be working with your windscreen wiper to squeeze it even more. As I'm working with the windscreen wiper, I've increased it now to about 40%. Again, checking in with your client. How's she doing? Yeah, she seems to be okay. She's not reacting against me. What we have here, I've picked up. I felt the muscle move. You get this more with the legs here. So she's got a state there of hypertonicity. I'm not sure yet if it's a knot. I'm going to go back and check that out, okay? Deep breath again, Elaine. So we did the windscreen wiper. Again, I'm loading it about 40%. And we can also be using the claw, okay? Or the twister, whatever you want to call it, right? So you want to twist into it. Nice, okay? And just a nice effleurage there. Pull back, give it some love. Remember, you want to work it. Pull back, give it some love. Go back in with your work again. So when I'm giving some love, you see the way it's nice and light? Okay, and I'm just effleuraging over the top of that there. A little bit slower there as I'm shaking into it. Okay, now you can also, the lighter one is to work with your shaker, but the shaker, bring it in at the end once you've worked it, because the shaker doesn't do as much as the windscreen wiper and the claw. They're bigger movements. All right, so now, as you know it, we're going to be working on a scale of 10. All right, deep breath for me, please, Elaine. We're going to be stripping into the muscle. Give me a shout if we hit above a 3. Where are you? Okay, she's a 5. It didn't feel like a 5 to me, but it's a 5 for her. Use that breath, take it to a 1. Okay, deep breath for me, please. And big sigh out. Here we go. Any points of tension, I can feel the texture changing. So I'm now going to incorporate that windscreen wiper to see if there's no movement from her. That's it. And nice. Pull it back, give it some love. Okay, so you want to strip into it then with a scale of 10. Okay. Smooth it down, give it some alternate loose fist. Now again, it's sitting slightly here on lateralis. So now I'm going to come on to lateralis and we're going to strip in that way here. So again, your stance now is you're stripping into lateralis. You can be here. You can also, if you want, lunge into it, whatever way you can create more traction, whatever feels good for you. Okay, deep breath for me, please. And big sigh out. Here we go. So I'm just stripping about 40%. There it is. Yeah, it's there. I can feel it, okay? And effleuraging off. Okay, deep breath for me, please. Big sigh out. Here we go. Now I'm using the windscreen wiper to push and squeeze further into it. Can you feel that? Yeah. Yeah, she's got a bit of a knot happening, and it's right there. So it's sitting partially on rec fem, but more on the lateralis, okay? You can also be working with your claw, your twister as well. But what she really needs is a scale of 10 here, because I'm going to load it even more to try and catch it. Okay, Elaine, deep breath for me, please. Big sigh out. I'm changing my stance to get more of my body weight behind lateralis here. Tell me to stop. We hit above a 3. Where are you? She's a 4-5, and it's just at the beginning stage.